Welcome to Small Business Planning Week, Day 5, the final day, the big finish. We've gone through everything that we can think of to get you started in your 2021 planning, and it has been such a great week. Sponsored by Bank 59 and the Idea Collective for small business owners. I'm Pat Miller, the Idea Coach, and if you made it all 5 days, gold star, ribbon, badge, emoji, whatever it is that you need to feel like you did a great job, I'm really proud of you for sticking in all 5 days, because today and the last 4 days have not been easy. We've been talking about deep thoughts over lunch, right? So let's ask these big questions to get you thinking. And I'm not sure how you're feeling, but I'm really focused on 2021 right now and really kind of just thinking, is that what I really want? And what should I be doing? Like, it's really helped me question what I want 2021 to look like. And I would say that that's mission accomplished. Today, we're going to go back over some of the major takeaways from Monday through Thursday. So if you missed those shows, it might be helpful for you. We're also going to reserve some time for Q&A and some feedback from you. Of course, we will be led by our fearless leader that's led every single day this week, Liz Watson, the leader on the Impact Trail. You can find out about her, LizWatsonImpactTrail.com. And even though we had great contributions from Idea Collective members all week, today we're just going to have a roundtable discussion about some of those things. And Liz has an offer for you if you're looking to get some expert strategic planning help. And we have a very cool one-time offer for the Idea Collective if you're not a member. We'll talk about those things at the end of the show. But let's get on with it. Let's welcome in Liz Watson, the leader on the Impact Trail. Liz, happy Friday. We made it. How are you?
Happy Friday to you. Right, everybody, we made it. It's been fantastic hanging out with these cool small business owners all week.
We went over so much, and we're going to ask some questions and look for feedback later on, but let's walk through what we covered. We're going to go all the way back to Monday, which feels like it was 10 years ago, but you started the conversation on Monday with kind of a concept, the difference between front office and back office. Can you rehash that for us?
Yes, definitely. So front office, really, small business CEOs, is where you should be spending your time. Your idea creation, the relationship building, marketing, and sales.
Okay. And then we went on to the foundation of Monday, which was mission, vision, and values. And I think we might get some questions on this later because some people like me hadn't really thought a lot about it, or they might have questions on it. Can you go back over that for us?
Yeah, sure. And before I do, I want to mention we talked about the front office, but we also talked about the back office. And truly, that's what this week was about. Really, the back office stuff. All these strategic pillars, areas of your business that need some focus too, right? It's all about running things well behind the scenes. So ultimately, your clients have a fantastic experience, or your customers. But yeah, so mission, vision, and values we got to. And we first talked about values. Right? It was just getting down to, hey, let's make sure we're building a business that feels good to us as the small business owner. And it was really about trying to get clear on what your core values are, because that's going to inform everything else that you do.
So when it comes to that, where do people get tripped up between mission, vision, and values? Do you get your values straight and build from there? Or do people get hung up on casting a big vision and forget about all the other stuff?
Well, that's a great question. And typically there is a question between the mission and the vision. So let's just refresh that the mission is really the now. What is the declaration of what your company is now, what it does, how you do it, who you do it for, who you serve, and what value is it bringing them? And then that vision is that future. The longer term, at least 2 to 5 years out, how you, and we talked about thinking about your business in that vision, your role in that business in that time frame, and then also your personal life, and keeping all those together. So it's, I think it's important to get solid on your values first, and that's certainly going to influence your mission and your vision.
So moving on to Tuesday, financial steadiness and operations. What do you want to tackle there from a recap perspective?
Okay, so financial steadiness, what we highlighted is it's not all about revenue just because it has the word finance in it. It's really about a strong foundation. So we talked about legal, taxes, insurance, and finances. And I wanted to highlight some takeaways from all of our experts that we've had this week. And one thing that Rachel Lamantia from Masterpiece Bookkeeping shared was accounts receivable. Make sure you have a process in place. If people aren't paying you, then it's kind of like they're stealing your services and it's going to hurt your cash flow. I thought that was a great takeaway. And I'm sure you all may have other takeaways, but I'm going to share some of the ones that resonated with me as we go along. Also, we had Megan Schwan with Sidekick Accounting Services talking about taxes. And she shared with us, make sure you are saving to pay for those taxes, save 20 to 25% of your net income and have a separate account to do so. And then Jackson Bubolz with Elevated Insurance shared his public service announcement. Make sure you get a business insurance policy. And Andrea Davis with Modern Law LLC shared, guess what? If it's not in writing, it didn't happen. So get contracts in place for the products and the services that you offer. So much good insight from a financial foundation perspective. And that was the first half of day 2.
Yeah. One half of one day, we covered all of that. And thank goodness you made us that PDF guide so we can take notes. And then we moved on to the operations side of things. So recap that for us because we had a lot of great info there too.
So when we talked about operational excellence, that was really trying to get to the root of how can you run your business with more ease? And we talked about that this incorporates process, workflows, standard operating procedures, system automations and integrations. And Nicole Bandis with the Virtual A Team shared her pro tip. Record a video of the steps that you think need to be documented in an SOP and then have somebody else help document it for you. Just get it out of your head. Take that first step. Susie Moon with Susie Moon Consulting shared, you know what? It's important to get your systems talking to each other. So focus on getting integrations in place with your systems and then take the next step and automate as much as you can so you get some of the manual stuff out of the way, right? Which helps you as the leader and your team not get so involved in the details every day.
And one of the things that's great about this recap is that this may trip your trigger like, oh, I really wanted to follow up on that one part. So start thinking about what questions you might have. And we're going to ask you to jump into the conversation in just a little bit. So do not be fearful of talking to us today because we're going to ask you some questions. So we just went through Tuesday. Now we're on to Wednesday. And of the days of the week, I think Wednesday got the most reaction. People were really fired up on the two topics we talked about on Wednesday, which was product and visibility. Let's go over product. What do you recall from the conversation about product on Wednesday?
So we were talking about all the different ways that you're bringing in revenue to your business and thinking about what needs to be revised, what should stay the same, or maybe a product or service you should stop selling at this point. And I like how Lynn Karazi with Data to Profit, he brought up figure out what your customers want to buy, not what you want to sell. So that was a great nugget. Sarah Bauer with Heartland Payment Systems talked about pricing strategy. Many nuggets there, but one was her challenge to us all to consider a subscription-based pricing model. She thought that every business had an opportunity to look at that and make that happen. So that was good too. And then Pat, were talking about all the delivery changes you've seen small businesses do over this past year. And your challenge to the group was create a digital product.
And I recall saying, if you don't create a digital product, we can't be friends. I might have gone a little bit too far.
I think that
There.
is what he said, everyone, right? Yeah.
I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I just got on a roll. So no, we can still be friends even if you don't have a digital product. But I do believe in it. So make a digital product because we can be better friends if you have one. Okay, so let's talk about visibility then, because we had some great thoughts on visibility as well.
Oh, there is so much in this category. And really, it's all about how can you help people become more aware of you, or your brand or your products or services. And many different categories in this, but we honed in on a few. And Andrea Hubbard with Hub & Co. was talking about lots of good things, good different perspectives. And one takeaway was make sure you're putting a strategy together for getting visible with your highest value content. Really put some thought into it. And if you're putting something out in the world, make it big and great. Lisa Rabel with Rebel Girl Marketing said, she challenged us to think of the 3 different ways that you could attend an event. Show up and participate and really focus that it's about giving. You could speak at an event or be a sponsor of an event. Think about where your audience hangs out and what events could you support from a sponsor perspective and show them that you care about what they're interested in. So I loved that. Lori Rifkin with Lunch with Lori shared insights on networking. And one of them was, even though I'm all about planning, right? I liked what he said of leave part of your life unplanned, because that's going to leave room for new opportunities, new networking opportunities that maybe you didn't have in your schedule, but you've become aware of something. If everything's too cram packed, you just can't do that. So I thought that was really great. Elsie Flanard, the mayor of Podcast Town, talked to us about podcasting. And one of his nuggets was create a strategy to understand why you either want to start a podcast or be a podcast guest. Think about the why, think about who you are truly targeting, and really what your message is in that space. Claire Lauer gave us some challenges along the way. She's with CL Content Marketing. And one of the nuggets from her was take some time to learn the features of the social media platform where your audience hangs out. And just put that in your plan to pause, go learn something new so you can engage even better in that platform. So that's the stuff, the highlights from visibility. Pat.
And that was so much. That day was insane. I think it was 9 experts and the content you shared. It was just bananas. So then we turned our attention inward. We talked about personal growth, team growth, and development. And we started with team growth, which kind of threw some people for a loop because they don't have a team. But one of the things you talked about that I want to make sure we touch back on, it is creating an aspirational org chart. I just love that concept. If someone missed that, can you talk about that? Because I think it's a really smart exercise.
Sure. And I think you can do it both ways. You can take a look at from your mission perspective and the goals you have set for just the year out. What talent, what team, who do you need to get on your team to help make those things come to life? But you can also take a look at it from your vision. If you've set a vision 2 to 5 years out, why not put that down and capture, if I want to get here, I bet these are the next skill sets that I'm going to need after this next year. And just visualize that, and that's really going to help you get down the path.
And then we went to team development in general and then personal growth. So what would you like to touch on there?
So for team growth, I guess to talk a little bit more on that, Erin Hinkle with Build Rise HR jumped on. And what I liked is she shared, make sure you carve out some time to find out how your team likes to be recognized. And that's whether, right, when we talk team, just to confirm, that means either the contractors you're engaging or the employees that you have. Actually, we also talked about team members you don't even pay, right? Those who are really you go to for moral support, for guidance, for all that goodness to that really care about you and your business moving forward and growing. But Erin said, hey, try to find out what's important to them. How do they like to be recognized? So that when you're looking to do a next recognition with them or with your team as a whole, you've got some great stuff to start with and plan it even better. Then we were switched over to the personal and professional development aspect of it and had several experts on this. So this is more about how can you grow yourself? What could you do to invest in you, either from a personal perspective or professional development perspective? And Jennifer Buchholz with Excel and Flourish shared, think about bite-sized learning opportunities. Don't think that you need to have certifications to prove you are the expert in what you do. Keep learning along the way. And this week is a testament to that for sure for all of you. Cheryl Litvin with First Associated Insurance talked about the topic of physical health and really sharing that the ripple effects that can have when you take care of you. Ariel Kopak with Harness Your Hindrance talked about several things, but one was ensuring that you're carving time in to always practice gratitude. Really make sure that you make time in your day to think about that. And that's another thing that has a ripple effect when you incorporate that in your daily practice. Serena Talbot with the Mindset Transformation Company was talking about burnout and making sure you're scheduling time to take breaks. And it didn't mean wait till you have a big vacation planned, even though we all can't wait till we can do that. But maybe it's every week. Make sure you're carving time out for you to re-energize and refresh. And then Consuelo Munoz with Own Your Confidence encouraged us to get clear on our strengths. If you haven't done an assessment, get clear on who you are and how you are strong and what you bring to the table. And when you get that clarity, it truly helps you boost your confidence, which affects everything else that you do.
So that says how powerful this week was. We recapped maybe one, maybe two things from each speaker, and it took us 21 minutes. That's how much we went over in 4 days, Liz. You're amazing. I can't believe we got through all of this. And to start off the conversation, I think we just want to find out which one of these themes or topics kind of hits you the hardest. So we'd like to know if you're willing to jump into the chat. Let us know that you want to come on the air because we'd love to hear from you. What is the topic that resonated the most? So was it operations, financial steadiness, personal growth, visibility? Let us know in the chat if you're willing to come on because we'd love to hear it from you so we can get some perspective. It's the way we're going to start the conversation. And while we have people that are jumping in, Liz, I want to ask you, you were listening to all of this. What do you think hit you the hardest? Like, where do you think you need to focus? Which topic for the impact trail you're worried about? Because I can share mine, but I'm curious about yours too.
Ooh, good question. Boy, I think for me, I think visibility would be the number one that I'm focused on.
Yeah. And which part of visibility? Do you think it's telling your story or putting yourself out there as an expert like you did this week? Because you were tremendous on stage.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's putting myself out as an expert, but spending more time in that networking, meaning giving back, really acknowledging all of the small business owners that I have a pleasure to get to know and really helping them, promoting them. I think that's what's fun to me. So, it's about finding the way that feels good to you. So yes, I guess to me, it is more of engaging where my audience is hanging out, which I think is LinkedIn for me.
Oh yeah. For you, I would definitely think that Inside the Idea Collective and LinkedIn would be the places. Of course. I mean, that goes without saying.
Yeah. I'm living there. That's for sure. It was like an assumption. Gee, but I should have mentioned that. Yeah.
Um, mission, vision, and values really hit me like a hammer this week because this last 12 months, 10 months to be precise, has been a fire drill. It's been, what are we going to do? How are we going to stay alive? Helping everybody, trying to be there to support everybody, and pausing and getting quiet and thinking, okay, why am I doing all of this stuff? And what should I be doing? And where is this going? And what do I want? That was the question that shook me. Like, what do I want? It's like, okay, I need to spend some more time doubling back down on that one. Tanya Murphy, travel agent extraordinaire. What topic hit you the hardest this week?
Definitely the visibility part. Took a little break from being visible for several months there for obvious reasons. And when we did the mission, vision, values, and then coupled that with the visibility part, it was like, it hit me that I think as we do our grand reopening and our grand relaunch and get ready for the biggest comeback ever, I feel like I have a huge opportunity to talk about not just how we do what we do and who we do it for, and all those things are super important, but the soul of why we do it. Why is growth one of our values? It's not just growth in the business and all that stuff. It's the personal growth that comes from traveling, from experiencing new things and new people, and it makes us better people. You can't help but be changed in a positive way by that. And that's the why. That's the stuff that gives me goosebumps when I talk about it. And I feel like I could be much, much better at sharing the soul of it with people. And that's what you need to do. And I want to do more of that. So really, that one really hit me pretty hard.
I am blown away by what you just said, because I think that's a complete marketing plan. Travel as personal and professional development and recuperation, that you're investing in travel, not because you want to go on vacation. You're investing in travel because you will make you a wiser leader with a better perspective and rested and recharged, and positioning travel as a professional development opportunity. I've never heard that before. You're a travel agent. You've probably heard that before. I've never heard that before. That's kind of interesting. Very cool. Thanks for sharing. We're going to come back to you to talk about what's the one thing you're going to be working on in first quarter. So start thinking about that. Sam Shaw, let's bring you on, bud. What topic hit you the hardest this week that really got you thinking?
So for me, it was Wednesday with both operations and visibility. We've talked several times in the collective about where our business is and how current events have completely flattened our business. So operations and visibility gave a lot of insight into how to maximize what we're doing going forward. And while I got a lot of information from other days without bringing in any type of revenue whatsoever, whether it's cash flow, even if it's not profitability, if there's no cash flow whatsoever, nothing else matters. We're dead in the water. So this was really impactful for what we need to do, where we need to be.
That's great. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it. Consuela Munoz, what about you? What topic hit you the hardest and has really got you thinking?
Well, I think it's a combination, right? Because that's how I roll, right? But the first day when we were talking about mission and vision and hearing that definition, that helps you be more clear about which one is now and which one is future thinking. Because a lot of times, big companies, little companies, you see confusion there with the mission and vision, and everybody kind of treats them like they're the same thing, right? So, but also then thinking about the mission and vision and the why when we're looking at the visibility, and especially with looking at doing more with blogging and looking at podcasting, because apparently there's a whole town for that. So, how do you figure out what your why is and why you want to do that? And how does that relate back to your mission and your vision? And so that's kind of where I'm like, okay, here's a fun place to play from now until New Year's, right?
For sure. Well, thanks for sharing that, Consuela. So Liz, we've got a few more people that want to jump in. Any observations or feedback on what people have shared so far?
Hearing lots of mission, vision, values, and interest in being visible. Yeah, those are the two I'm hearing right now.
All right, cool. Van Nutt, you've got one for us. What topic has your mind spinning at the moment?
I thought every day was fantastic, and like Lisa Ray, I took a ton of notes, but I did not yesterday. I was so caught up in personal growth and development and the team growth. All I could do is write down presenters' names. It's as though the information just kind of was absorbed. Like I didn't need to write it down. And so I'll be following up with those individuals on mindset and peace of mind. It really touched me. And I actually have a blank notepad yesterday outside of their initials. So amazing day.
Did that hit you that way because you hadn't thought about those things, or you had been ignoring those things?
I think probably ignoring, Pat. I think, we learn things constantly through our lives, and things get put on a shelf. And when it comes to self-care, it's so easy to do that. And we need to be diligent. And yesterday was a great reminder to take care of our minds and our bodies so that we can continue to serve others well.
I'm doing a good job taking care of my mind. Not so good about taking care of my body. I get to work on that, Van. Thanks. I appreciate it. Ariel, my friend, I'm sure you've got something. What did you start thinking about after the 4 days of content that we presented?
Well, I think I was so excited for this week, and I committed to coming to every session because I know that I can always put off planning for what's more urgent and important, or maybe more urgent, right? And so having that intentional time to set aside to plan and think about the things that we put aside or that fall through the cracks was really valuable to me. So part of it, frankly, was accountability. You mentioned insurance. I reached out to Cheryl Litvin, like, we need to talk. We talked about legal. I reached out to Andrew Davis. Hey, we got to talk. Just making sure that we have those things in place. And I actually talked to them and said, can we have quarterly check-ins, because these are things that I'll always, put off. And so having this piece of planning of the really important pillars of being a business owner was really valuable to me. And also, I love starting off with mission, vision, and values. With the vision piece, I was like, oh, okay, that piece I'm going to need to sit alone by myself for like 3 hours to really build up, the vision each year. But as far as the mission and the values, that was really impactful to me to just be really intentional about that for a few moments. And I clarified actually one of my values that I've been working in the back of my mind to clarify for some time. And I'm really grateful to you, Liz, for your guidance on that. And it was one where you talked about that 10% of the thing that really drives you crazy, that person who just rubs you the wrong way or something that gets you angry. That was definitely one of the telling pieces for me. And I had noticed that before, but I wasn't sure what that value was. And just thinking over time, you giving that intentional space allowed me to really clarify that. And I actually finally clarified my third value of influence ownership. So that was really powerful for me to have that clarity on that value. And so I'm very grateful to have that.
Okay. I'm curious. Influence ownership, that's the value. Yeah. And what does that mean?
So to me, that means I discovered I get really bothered when someone has an incredible amount of potential or gift for influence, and they don't take the responsibility that comes with that influence. Okay. So for me, that's someone's in a place of authority, or they have charisma or a talent that allows them to, or it really opens the doors for them to influence a lot of people, and they don't realize how much responsibility that entails. That is a trigger for me. So I think if you have the potential to influence, which I believe we all do, the potential to influence ourselves and influence others, that should be taken with a lot of thought and responsibility. So when someone doesn't do that, it really bothers me. So I realized it's ownership of your outcomes, ownership of your influence, not influence itself that I value, but the ownership of your influence.
That's cool. Well, thanks for sharing that, Ariel. So Liz, it sounds like she used one of the tactics that you had talked about, which was if you can't conceptualize a value, think about what you don't like, and that will help illustrate what you are thinking. Can you recap that real quick? Because that's really powerful.
Right. It was, okay, 80% of us, of ourselves is not so special, but about 20% is. And some of it was, right, if you can't think of, I guess, the positive word, right, get to the heart of what drives you crazy when somebody does something like she was just explaining. And take that and flip it, turn it into a positive, if you want to say, term or phrase or statement, because that's what you would want to share with others and flip that around. But I just found it simpler to get to the root of what drives me nuts and then reflect and go, aha, that means I really value this.
Mhm.
So thanks for sharing that example.
So we have a few more that we want to hit on, and then we're going to change the conversation a little bit and then open up to Q&A. Abby Miller, what topic hit you the most this week?
Well, there's the positive and the negative. Negative in a positive sense, though. The vision, mission, and values. We've never done that for my business. And so that's my weakness. So that's why I say negative. But now I'm working on it. It's something that I've never done before. So it's unknown to me. So I have lots of notes from that. But yesterday, talking about self-care, it's a very timely conversation for me because now begins my downtime and I have to learn how to take it and not just work my way through, well, find something to do. Like last night, you were so proud of me because I was sitting on the couch watching TV and reading a magazine,
Mm-hmm.
and it was glorious.
Yeah, and usually that's sitting on the couch with your laptop open, doing stuff you don't need to do because you think you're making progress when you're really not. And that's not pointing a finger at you. It's all of us. When we're just kind of half working, we're really not getting anything done. Abby, thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. One more, Liz, and then we're going to change the conversation real quick. Amanda Davis, Tech Lab. So what did you think of this week from the topics that we covered?
I participated every day and I really enjoyed, thank you. I really enjoyed overall, as Ariel said, there was a lot of it. So the mission, vision, vision, values, there we go. I didn't know that mission is right now. Like I always thought that mission was something that you set once and then that's the way it is. And this is like what you stand for. I didn't realize you should revise it every day. So that was something that hit me. We've talked about values before, but just also knowing that you can review those annually as well was really good. Rachel Lamontina, I've heard her speak at a night school before, but again, the reminder, and especially right now as we're planning for next year, that you should have 3 financial goals. And so I've been considering that as I've been planning. The day 4, a lot of it, I was talking to my boss this morning and he said that was really impactful and really good. And I agree. I think that was a lot of deep, heavy stuff. And I think that's the stuff that I agree with Van. I took a lot of notes, but that's the stuff that I've been thinking about this year during 2020 and trying to improve myself. So I think that was also good. And it's always good to have action steps that you can take for products and visibility. So I definitely took stuff away from each day. Now it's just making it all happen.
Look at this, Amanda, professional broadcaster, not even realizing what a transition she just gave us. Amanda, thanks for your feedback. We do appreciate that. But as far as transition goes, let's talk about action steps. Hey, Liz Watson, take it away.
That was perfect, Amanda. Thank you. Yes. So, several people shared kind of higher level, those main categories that we talked about that you saw as priorities. Now we'd love to hear of what you captured. What's one action step that you want to put in your plan in Q1?
One action.
One thing.
Which, if you've got a to-do list as long as my arm, which I do from this week, it should be something simple to share. But what is one thing that you're going to do? So Abby had shared that she's going to, as Serena said, treat rest as work, which is really, really important. Let's go to Jennifer Buchholz. She's the business BFF and the person show running here. So JB, what are you going to do first?
Okay, like shame on me, right? Because Abby, I will be in the same place you are. I've been thinking about my mission, vision, values forever. And I've written some stuff down, but I don't have anything in a place that's really one-stop shopping, complete, concrete, something that I feel like I can consistently stand behind. So it's time. Like, let's be real. Put your big girl panties on and do this thing. That goes for you too, Roger. Put your big girl panties on.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Consuela Munoz, can you share one of your action steps? Because you were taking diligent notes this week. Do you have an action step that you can share?
So action step, if just one, it's formulating my why I want to do a podcast in 2021. So that's one I definitely want to move on quicker because I do want to have one come out in January. So I need to get moving.
That's good. That's really good. That's a great action step. Tanya Murphy, besides book a buttload of travel, what's one action step that you're going to take?
I was really excited about the conversation about LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I barely use it. But when we really started talking about how we can help each other be more engaged on LinkedIn and increase all of our visibility exponentially, I got really excited about being more active and engaged on LinkedIn and publishing more great content on LinkedIn, engaging with other people's content to help theirs along. I just feel like I'm really soured on Facebook lately. I know I have to have a presence there, but I don't love it out there. And I feel like LinkedIn is like the place to be. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. And that'll be great. Your content and your voice will stand out on LinkedIn because it's a bunch of business stuff and you're going to be putting up beaches and travel and happy things. So it'll be fantastic. Lynn Karazi, the data magician. What's one thing you're going to be working on right away in 2021?
I've realized that I actually need to complete, and I'm sorry I don't have my video working yet. Just got back to the house, logged on, haven't figured it out. But, I had a plan and I just realized how inadequate it was and how much more detailed I have to round out and actually document versus keeping it all up in my head. And so that's one of the things between Christmas and New Year's. I've got a couple different revenue streams. What am I going to need to do to support each one of them turn the ideas into tactics?
Right. Good stuff.
Love that. Ideas into tactics. Did you see Liz perk up when someone said that? Look at you. You're like, yeah, tactics. Woo.
Everybody's sharing good stuff. All right.
Now, this is great. A few more people we want to call on to get some Q&A action steps, and then we're going to go to Q&A. So if there's something you want to ask about that Liz or one of the experts shared, start thinking about it, because this is like going to be some amazing one-on-one help here in just a second. Milena, thank you for tuning in and for sharing one action step. What do you have in early 2021 you're focusing on?
First of all, thank you. That was a great week and a great lesson of knowledge for me. So thank you so much, Pat, Liz, and everyone who shared their content and knowledge. I really appreciate that. My action, I'm not currently business owner, but it's in my head. So it was great to learn from all of you what kind of steps you are taking, how you fight being a business owner. So who knows in the nearest future, but my action, I think what I would take, be more visible. So in my head is having a blog, but it goes like, it's supposed to happen by summer and it didn't happen yet. So hopefully soon it's going to happen and be that, I think I struggle with that the most. So just to start that small step, and maybe that's going to take the next step and the next step.
That's great. Milena, thanks for sharing. All right, two more people we want to hit on here. Wait, that came out wrong. Roger Wolkoff, give us one action step for 2021.
Hit on me all you want, Pat. Well,
of course it's you. Like I say that going to you.
You should know better. Well, the good news is, thanks to Prime, my panties will be here in 2 days.
Oh, excellent.
I can put them on.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do, I'm going to set my revenue goals. I'm going to really stick to revenue goals and meeting goals for one of the first times in my business. My action plan is to use that time on my calendar. First thing, it's the first thing I'm going to do every morning is hit the emails and make the phone calls. And my goal is 6 10-minute conversations a day.
That's awesome. Great. Thanks, Roger. I appreciate it. All right, Sam, last one, action step. Give me a good one that's early 2021 that you got out of this week.
I have to do the values, mission, and vision, because I have to figure out why people need to buy from me. Like, I can do all the pricing and everything that I want, but I need to know why people need to buy from me. Like, what is my competitive advantage that I have that nobody else has? So that's what I got to work on.
Okay. Very important and really good stuff. Thanks for sharing. Okay, Liz, let's go back to you now. So we're going to switch up just a little bit and kind of open the floor for question and answer. Of all the stuff that we talked about this week, is there something that we talked about that you'd like to get some expert time on. So Liz, what do you think of the 4 days of straight content? If we could have added a half day of more information, which one do you think we could have gone deeper on to make it a more complete week?
Well, here's the thing. When we plotted this out, there's actually one strategic pillar that we didn't even cover.
That's right.
Which was customer and client experience. Same thing, thinking about that, right? How do you delight your clients and customers, and what things do you need to put in place? So yes, that's typically another pillar that I walk clients through.
Yeah, and that sounds awesome, especially right now, to think about how their experience is going to change as the economy reopens. Because depending on what you do, I mean, Tanya Murphy's a perfect example. People are going to be traveling differently than they would have before the pandemic. And as they get to travel again, they're going to bring experiences and baggage with them that they didn't have before, like worrying about getting sick or worrying if they've got paperwork to get in the country or whatever it might be. So it's going to be different for folks moving forward. If you could talk with one of the experts, Liz, who would you get back on and ask them a bunch of questions? Which one really got you thinking and you thought we could get more out of? Does anyone come to mind?
Oh my gosh, that's a hard question because everybody had great insight. I mean, it's very tactical, but legal stuff is so important, right?
Sure.
Let's make sure that as we are running our businesses, we truly know that we're set up from legally, the insurance, right? That kind of stuff, right? So that you can put that stuff aside, knowing that's all in place and you can move forward and not worry about that. So
yeah, I think
we have so much more in that space to learn, I think.
For sure. I think we have a question from Susie. Susie, go ahead.
About night school. I just thought, like, with all of these experts, in all different areas, why not like have some of those topics roll into the night school events and dive even deeper, or do something like this on a more individual opportunity
on individual topics, for sure.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great idea, and definitely something that unknowingly we're doing. So if you're not familiar with Idea Collective Night School, which is still funny to say because it was Brand Crafted Night School for a long time, but now it's Idea Collective Night School. We do an evening event where we bring a presenter on and they do an hour of content on their particular area of brilliance. And in January, we've got Sarah Bauer scheduled to do an entire hour just on pricing your products, which is going to be amazing. And then I think it's February, we have an entire hour set aside with Lori Rifkin to talk about networking. Is that right, Susie? I think that's right. So we are kind of doing what you're talking about. So it would be, Abby's putting in the chat that it'd be great to get a survey on this so we can get some more information on what we need to do, because the presenters were fantastic and I'm really pleased with the way that this week went. So we are open for feedback to make sure that our programming here in the Idea Collective matches the stuff that you want to learn about. And the other reminder of this is we're committing to do Brand Crafted or Idea Collective Night School every single month. So we're going to have new information every single month, which is going to be great. So that's all kept free thanks to Bank 59. So I'm really excited for the partnership with them into next year. So Liz, what final thoughts do you have on the content that we presented? Anything else that you want to share that wraps up the concept of planning, what we should do next? What do you recommend?
A tactical thing I recommend. So you've got all these ideas, and what I suggest is you put it in a verb, noun format. I want to develop a strategy plan for podcast. I think I heard, was that you, Consuela, that said that, right? So don't just put podcast strategy. Anyway, I find it helpful to have the verb. What are you going to do? Are you going to establish something? Are you going to revise? Are you going to just create a plan? And for a lot of these things that you mentioned, it may be, you know what, in January, I'm going to put in my plan that I need to create a plan for that strategy, right? And then as you do that, then you'll develop the steps that it's going to take to actually implement what you want to do. But that's how I like to do it, is a verb noun format as you come up with your list of things.
Okay, that's a great idea. So Ariel, you've got a question for Liz. Go ahead.
Yes. So Liz, my question is, how frequently do you recommend, and I realize this is a big ambiguous question, but how frequently do you recommend following up on, checking in on, adapting your plan? As as a coach, I'm really great about leading others to their plan, but my own, things change so fast. I'm sure everyone experienced that in 2020, make a plan and then everything changed. Now what? So I think sometimes the concern that I face with planning is, but there's so many changes and so many variables. How frequently do you recommend people check in on, update, adapt, or really dig into their plans once we've set them?
Yeah, there's a couple of time frames. So on a quarterly basis, I suggest looking at things from a quarterly perspective. Okay, we're moving into Q1. What of these ideas we have, which ones make sense to start in Q3, for example, and just put it out there under Q3. Okay, you'll get to it later, but based on what I know I want to do, or other things or commitments or plans and goals you have, plot them out by quarter and look at that quarterly to go, what just happened in this past quarter? Did I accomplish from a quarter perspective what we thought we would as a company? If not, what needs to shift or wrap up, or might I want to adjust what's going on next quarter? So every quarter looking at it, but then also monthly, because break that quarter down into the month. What should we be getting done this month? And looking at that to say, okay, here's the plan for next month. And at the end of the month, revisiting how did that go? And what tweaks might we need to make for the future month? So I look at it both monthly and quarterly.
Thanks, Ariel, for that. Let me ask you a question, Liz. How valuable or dangerous is stick-to-itiveness? Like, hey, I'm going to make something happen, and it doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen. When do you fold and recast the vision or recast the goal? Because sometimes an aspirational goal can be just that. It's way too big. Like, when is it okay to kind of downshift to, you know what, I'm going to get 50% of that number and feel good about it?
Yes, I think when you're feeling that change, that it may not happen, revisit that. I guess quarterly, I would encourage looking at those goals you have set for the year and how's that feeling. And if you do need to change it, do that, right? Don't beat yourself up. I mean, small business owners, right? We can do what we want. You want to set those goals, but if something's happened and it's just truly not realistic anymore, revisit that. And I think it's good to look at it in that quarterly basis to go, is that still ringing true? This is what I'm looking to get to at the end of the year. How am I feeling about that? Or based on what I've learned or what's happened in the economy or what have you, maybe it's time to refresh that plan. So yeah, there's some flexibility in it. You certainly want to try to hold yourself to those goals, right? But come on, sometimes you just got to be realistic and adjust and not beat yourself or your team up when it's just not the right thing to do.
And being in control. I think it's easy to soak up a bunch of shame or feel defeated because you've got to downshift a goal. But as long as you're moving forward and feeling like you're in control and you're being purposeful about it, is that what you're saying?
Right, exactly.
Okay. Van, you've got something that you'd like to share, sir? What do you got?
Two things. One, on the goal piece, writing it down, whether on paper or or on screen, and looking at that every day helps remind you, what you're working towards. We use a system where we set quarterly goals, and we try to keep it to 3. But under each of those goals are some of the tactics, some of the things we're going to do to get there, and those need to be measurable. So if you put something like that in place, it's much easier to be able to go and look at what you're trying to do and how your progress is to getting there. You may find at the end of the quarter that, yeah, I didn't touch this at all. Well, is it that important? Yes or no? So just an add-on to the goal piece. The other thing I like to say is there's a lot of discussion about, whether or not there was enough time for different, some of the different topics. All the topics could be expanded, but what was of significant value to me as someone newer to the group, was to be able to have little samples of the providers. You provided so many great people to us this week to share, and to be able to kind of sample and say, oh, I need to know that, I need to learn more from that person. I wasn't aware that some of those things were available. That was an incredible value to me. And I think I used the word farmer's market in the comments. We go to a farmer's market and there's this vegetable stand, and there's this stand for mushrooms and whatever else. I'm going to build a soup. Well, this was fantastic. And then all the ingredients were there, and we got to see them and we got to hear them and better understand where they come from and how they're motivated. And it was beautiful. So thank you for that.
Wow, that's incredible, Van. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it. And I think everyone that's in the Idea Collective that spoke this week is probably thinking, if I was in a farmer's market, what stand would I be? So I think they all get to play that game now, which is kind of fun. It was a great week, and it was great to get all of this expert content on the air. Liz, final thoughts about the stuff that we shared before we wrap up Small Business Planning Week.
Wow, such good stuff. And just on that last comment, Van, I love farmers markets, and I have a green heart, as I say, right? Sustainability fuels me. So thinking of it in that respect. And what I love about this is that even though some of us may do the same kind of work, we all have different things we're bringing to the table, and what makes us unique, and why you might resonate with one person instead of another. But we all have things to share. That's that, I guess, abundant mindset, right? That we can all help each other. And that's fantastic. I'm so glad you got value out of that, because when we talked about doing this, that was truly my intent, to help highlight the experts that are all around us.
Yeah, you did a great job of that. So if you're sitting there right now after Small Business Planning Week, you get a few things you want to work on, you feel like, I got this, no problem. Go do the thing, as one of our friends would say. But if you're sitting there with a long list thinking, oh my gosh, I'm completely overwhelmed, well, Liz Watson can help you with that. So Liz, if someone wants to engage you for some planning services, what can you offer? Oh, you muted yourself.
There we go. Hold on a second. Yeah, my screen just got wacky a little bit. Thank you for that. Yeah, what a week. And I know if you showed up one day or all 5 days, you're dedicated to the success of your business. You took the time out to build your knowledge so you can be a better small business owner. And that's just fantastic. Way to go. Pat yourself on the back. I know Pat already mentioned that earlier, but make sure you're recognizing what you did this week. And if it did resonate with you and you want to get a strategic plan in place, I invite you to grab my Map Your Strategy package. So as we work together to focus just on your business, you're going to be able to craft that mission, vision, and values. You'll get clarity on these strategic priorities and how they're important to you. You'll get ideas out of your head, which we talked about, and actually into a quarterly plan. And then you'll walk away with a 90-day action plan to accomplish the top priorities you have for Q1. So it would be my honor to be your guide and help you get clarity on how to optimize how your business operates so you can make an even bigger impact in the world. And I am happy to offer a 30% discount to those who participated with us this week and supported this whole process. So your investment would be $997.
Wow.
So if reserving your spot is of interest to you, please do so. Reach out by the end of the year to grab this discount.
That's amazing. And thank you so much for giving so much this week, Liz. It was really terrific. Liz Watson, our featured presenter this week, Small Business Planning Week. She drove the bus. She wrote the content. She crushed it. So thank you so much, Liz. We appreciate it. And Liz and all of the expert presenters, they are members inside the Idea Collective. Imagine if this was around you 24/7. You jump in, you can get inside the feed. We have events almost every single day. We've got interest groups ranging from accountability to a book club. We've even got a fitness club that's coming online. Cheryl's going to lead. We've been working really hard to support the small business owner and the small business lifestyle. So what I have to offer, if you've tuned in this week or you're thinking about the Idea Collective, make the investment before January 1, and we're going to offer the annual rate that the founding members received all the way back in June. So we launched it in June with our founding 50, and I very rarely make that rate available. But if you're interested in joining the Idea Collective for an entire year, we will make that link available. Just contact me. We'll also put it in the comments of the video here on YouTube and all the other places that the video is airing. But the group really is special. I'm so grateful for them. And as Van mentioned, you now kind of get a reason, a feeling for why I'm so dang excited that everyone's here contributing and collaborating with one another. So it's a special place, and thank you for making it such, and we would love to have you be in the group. Another thank you to Liz for her support, and thank you for tuning in and being so purposeful about 2021 planning. I'm Pat Miller, the Idea Coach. Small Business Planning Week, sponsored by Bank 59 and the Idea Collective. It's in the books. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Now let's go have a great 2021 together. See you next time.